What's going on, YouTube? I am back with another video for you guys, and today this video is gonna be up there with a video I made the other day in terms of probably the most important videos I've made on the channel so far. And I want to start off asking you a simple question. Would you rather be happy, or would you rather be right? And hopefully, maybe your opinion on answering that question right now compared to the end of the video, maybe you'll have a different perspective on life and everything that you feel right now. Because in 2026, I think we live in a world today where everything is online. Everything. And I can't go on Instagram, I can't go on Twitter without seeing people in New York City getting shot, stabbed, beat up. I mean, I see it at work, but I think it's different when everybody gets to see it on a center stage online. We have statistics on the workplace. We have statistics on men dropping out of society, men dropping out of the world. Where is the man that used to be there? And the reality is, there are still men out there, and there's still good men out there, but they're not going to the places that the old system used to be. And we're going to talk about that, and it's going to go back to what I mentioned in terms of, would you rather be happy or would you rather be right? Because in 2026, the reality is we live in a very different world than the 1950s. And to kind of exemplify that, I think the best way to look at it, if anybody ever says something should be to you, immediately question what told that person to think that the world should be that way. Who gets to decide what the right thing is or what should be? And then we're going to use an example, because I think an example like this makes a lot of sense. And you'll know where I'm going with this because you've probably had this happen at least once or twice in your life, if not more than that. So I had a discussion with my mom about, do you think it's fair, or do you think the lion should eat the baby gazelle that was born 5 minutes ago from its mom? Hold on. Let me finish this out before you move ahead. And of course she said it's not fair. The lion shouldn't eat the baby gazelle that was just born. And like, moralistically, I understand that, right? But does the lion out in the savannah care whether the baby gazelle was born 5 minutes ago or 10 days ago? No. Because guess what? That lion has baby lions to feed for herself. And that paradox of what is right and what should be favors somebody. In this case, it favors the gazelle, right? We should feel bad for the baby gazelle because it didn't even stand a chance, right? It's the innocent baby gazelle that was basically had 5 minutes on this planet, took about 1,000 breaths, and then was dead. And that's a really grim reality to accept, right? But it's still real. It's still reality and happens every single day. And I think we live in a world today where everybody wants the world that isn't like that. We should live in a world where the lions prepare their own vegan vegetables and make their own food out of a farm. And you know where I'm going with this, but that will never happen, right? So, trying to tie this back to, do you want to be happy or do you want to be right? If you want to be happy, the world should be this way so everybody can be happy. And that sounds so great on paper, except that will never happen. And the problem with that is, unfortunately, there's always going to be evil. There's always going to be evil people that don't want the best for everybody. They want theirs. They want their share, and that's it. And those people will always exist. They'll always exist. But that doesn't mean that there are still going to be good people that fight for the right thing and do good. So when you try to explain that, we live in a world, like I said, in 2026, where the internet, going back to the videos of people beating each other up, we're literally seeing people get shot on Twitter now. It's gotten to that point. Statistically, guys aren't going to college, they're not graduating from college, but I think that's a good thing. And I think that guys are learning, like, the old world used to work that way. You used to you used to go to the military, then you used to go to college, and then you would get a job, and then you would become, a boss or a CEO or a chairman or whatever, right? It doesn't work like that in 2026 anymore, and for a multitude of reasons, that doesn't work anymore. But I think guys are doing a better job at understanding that we don't live in that world anymore. Like people are still watching Friends and thinking that we still live in the world of that show. We don't live in that same world anymore. And I'm sure you've heard of the saying, ignorance is bliss. I think that's bullshit. I would rather know the truth and understand the truth. And maybe you don't have to like it right away. And you don't have to like the fact of certain things in reality, but they're still reality and they're still there. And the more, you can never unsee that. Once you understand how the real world is and the veil behind, the internet is showing everybody the real world. There's no escaping it. There's no person that's going to, unless you literally live under a rock without the internet, without a cell phone, you are going to see the reality of the world, whether you like it or not. Kicking and screaming and crying your way there, but you are still going to see the reality in your face every single day. And for men, I think it's even more important because you're seeing the world in front of you. You're seeing how fucked up everything is. And you're right. And you're right. But what are you going to do about it? I really started to see my world shift in 2018. And I think since then, I've grown into the man that I am today because of understanding that I might have been happy when I was younger and, eating Taco Bell whenever I wanted and believing that girls would like you for being you, a girl should like me for eating Taco Bell every single day, right? And playing video games every day, right? A girl should like me for being me. And once you accept that is not real. That is not how the real world works. And once I just accepted that, the world really doesn't give a fuck what you think or do. It's the most freeing thing in the world because you can do whatever you want. You can say whatever you want. Especially with the internet today, you can do or say whatever you want. It doesn't mean you won't have consequences for that, but you're free to say what you want to say. And I think if you have something that you believe in, that's it. And I think, again, going back to what I said about if you want to be happy, you can find a way to be happy and content in reality. And I think a lot of people are pushing so hard for, accept me for the way I am, accept this, instead of just trying to be accepted by everybody. Just do whatever the fuck you want to do and just embrace that. And I think I had the most growth and success in my life when I just did that. I don't really care even this YouTube channel, like people find this YouTube channel and they play my videos in front of me and I'm like, this is so fucking cringe. But I really don't care. Right? Like if people talk about my YouTube channel, that's great. You're watching my video and you're talking about it. Thank you. I appreciate it. Even if you give a thumbs down, I still appreciate it. Right? Because most of the time the people that are giving a dislike or a bad comment or something like that, you look at their YouTube channel, they have like 3 subscribers and one of them's their mom and the other one's their alternate account. And then they follow themselves. So there's their 3 subscribers, right? Like, you're doing good in life when people hate on you, if that makes sense, because you're important enough where people care about your opinion. Most people don't care about that person's opinion. And that's something that I learned with my other YouTube channel. So I would have videos that really popped off and did really good. And I would get the good comments here and there, right? But usually those people just like the video and they just watch your videos. And there's not really much like animosity. But the people that genuinely hate your take or hate your opinion, make it known. They definitely let you know. They try to tear you down. But I always keep receipts for those, because when I hit 3,500 subscribers on my YouTube channel, I always remembered the people that told me that I was never going to have a good YouTube channel, that it was never going to go anywhere, and it did anyway. So kind of going back to what I said earlier, like, what are you going to do in 2026 and moving forward? You know the world is fucked up. You know the odds are against you. As a man in the United States, you're probably fucked. Most jobs aren't going to hire you. It's almost impossible to get a university degree and get a job with that degree. So you know what the world is showing you. And it makes you upset, it makes you angry, and it makes you depressed. But once you get over that and accept the fact that the world is that way, what are you going to do? What can you do to have the most control over your life? Is it starting your own business? Is it starting a YouTube channel? Do something productive. I talked about this in my other video where I talked about, guys that are self-expiring themselves, and some of them young, 21 years old. One of them, Ian Hutchinson, rest in peace, man. And I always think about guys like that, or I think about the guy that failed out of the academy that I was in. And I never want to sit here and say like, oh, I'm better than you. It's never about that. But it's about what you do after. Those guys got to a point where they said, you know what? I'm looking at the road. There's 3 different roads, and all of them are a dead end. And I'm just going to end it. But understand that if you get past the point where you see the world, it's fucked up. Everything is against you. You're going to have to work twice as hard to get the same thing as probably somebody else. That's the truth. So, but what are you going to do about it? Are you going to sit there and wish the world changes for you? Or are you going to be the force for the change? Because even when I see it at work, there are so many people that give me, listen, like, I don't want to be like Mr. like gloss myself, but people look at me differently. They hate that I'm doing what I'm doing. They hate when I go to Target with my fiance and she's holding my hand and she's loving on me, and we've been together for almost 7 years. And people hate it. People hate that my fiance fawns over me. People hate that I have what I have. People always hate. But most of the time it's the people below you that hate. Because if there's people above you, they don't even notice you if they're above you. They don't give a shit what you're doing because they're busy living their lives. So I really want you to know, before I wrap this video up, as a man, you are strong. Once you get past once you get to the point of accepting the cards are the way they are. You can't change the color of the card. You can't change the numbers on the card. What are you going to do with that stack of cards that you have in front of you? And maybe you don't become a 10% body fat fitness dude. What if you're at 50% body fat and got to 20% body fat? Are you still not better off there than where you were before? If you were making $30,000 a year and you started making $50,000 a year, you're still better off. Maybe you didn't become the super apex guy. You're still better off than where you were before. I think that's something that we need to recognize, is you need to continue to find a reason. I talk about that in a lot of my videos. Find a reason. And once you get to the point of accepting the world the way it is fucked up. It is tough. The gazelle wishes there was a world where they didn't get eaten by the lion, but they still do anyway. You don't see gazelles out protesting for the lions not to eat them anymore, right? You don't see that. They like, the zebra stripes are always going to be white and black, or black and white, or vice versa, whatever. They're always going to be black and white. You're not going to see the purple and white or the purple and yellow zebra stripes, right? You're never going to see that. They live in a world, they accept the game for what it is, and they play it to the best of their ability. So why can't you? Instead of asking the game to change for you, instead of asking for an easier world, make the most of what you are capable of. And you're going to find fulfillment in that. And there's going to be tough days. There is struggle. I am not going to sit here and say that you will not struggle still. I struggle every single day. But you know what? I have something to fight for that keeps me going through the struggle. Whether that's your family, whether that's your dog, your pet fish or turtle maybe. I don't know what it is. You know. Maybe if you don't go to work this week, you know, Timmy, your pet turtle, doesn't get fed. Maybe that's it. I don't know. But find something. I think when you get to that point and you just understand that the world is not going to look to appease you, and that you are not the main character in the world, and you have to go out and get things, that's where you're going to find what you're looking for at the end of the day. You know, you're never going to find the happy pill. The happy pill, what happens when you stop taking the happy pill? You're reliant on the happy pill, right? If you can only be happy when you're drinking, if you can only be happy when you're eating, what happens when you stop eating? What happens when you stop drinking? You're no longer happy. You're reliant on something to make you happy. In the act of doing, in working out, in getting in good shape, in running, in the suffer, in the struggle, that's where you're going to actually find the most happiness in life. I give you my word. Try it. And let me know how you do. Guys, thanks for watching today's video. I'll catch you again next time.